All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the stream. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to do this stream. Opening day is coming tomorrow, and I just wanted to talk about some Mets topics. Overall, everything about the Mets. You know what's going on with the Mets, the opening day, the lineups, all that type of stuff. I got my friend here, Zach. So welcome, Zach.
What's going on? Thanks for having me. I'm
No
excited.
problem, no problem. This is a Mets fan, a Mets lifetime Mets fan, just like me. Definitely, we love the Mets, and yeah, we can't wait to talk about the New York Mets. So
Lots of stuff.
let's get into overall. Just how are you feeling about opening day, the off season? How did you feel about the off season? Did you think that the Mets did enough to be successful, to get to the playoffs, to get to the World Series? Did you see a change in the offseason, or do you feel like this is really the same exact team, that type of stuff? How you feeling?
I would say honestly, this is essentially the same team. I think the pitching rotation, I would say, got a little better because yes, we lost the Grom, but we bring in a guy like Verlander, where even though he's a little bit older, he is a workhorse and he gets a lot of starts every year, and he won a Cy Young last year, so you can't take that away from him. So I think in the lineup stance, though, we're essentially the same. I would have wished we gotten like at least one more bat. Obviously, Correa was right at our fingertips for a little bit there, but it worked out, and I think we're good enough to win 101 games, or win enough. We're good enough to win in the playoffs. We just got to prove it.
Did you want Correa? You wanted
I
Correa?
I thought it would have been the bat, like, like, if you put him at 3rd, it would have been over for this year. I mean, maybe not over, but, like, they would have been guaranteed a deeper run than I think they do now. But,
I think Yeah, no, I think baseball is really hard to say that, you could have a guy like Correa, you could have a guy like Correa, you could have a guy, like let's look at the Dodgers, let's look at what they had last year, and they didn't make it far in the playoffs,
yeah,
and
but
you know
none of the big teams did, which is the crazy part, and
exactly, and that's the thing, man.
anything can happen in the baseball playoffs. It's a long season, but I
Yeah.
think having Correa there just gives you that extra little, oomph at the end of the lineup or in the middle of the lineup that could really just bring a lot more to the team. And plus, he's just a guy that elevates everybody. It's a team
Yeah.
game, and
Yeah.
he can do that.
No, I definitely feel you on that. I feel like the offseason, the Mets, like you said, got better with pitching. Senga was a surprising
You know,
signing for me. I didn't even expect the Mets to go after Senga. I know that the Mets needed pitching. I know that they did not want to sign Chris Bassett back.
you know,
Chris Bassett, he very very dependable. First of all, he was a great to have on the Mets, but it didn't happen. They didn't want him back. Tyjon Walker, I feel like the Mets, they gave Tyjon Walker those 2 years,
you know,
and it didn't really, he pitched okay, but in big situations he just didn't
he
come up
would
great. So
he would always fizzle out a little bit towards the end of the year as well. Like, he would always have, at least the first 2 years, or the first year of it, at least, he went unbelievable in that first half. And then as soon as he went to the All-Star game, he just was non-existent and letting up a lot of home runs. So I just think he wasn't as consistent throughout the year that you wanted him to be. And I think Kodai Senga could be that, because they pitch a lot of innings over there overseas, and I think he has the durability to be able to be that very good third spot guy.
no, I definitely agree with you. Um, Overall, man, I'm feeling good about opening day. Um, let's talk about your lineup for 2023 for the New York Mets. How would you put the lineup for 2023 for the New York Mets?
So right now I have Nimmo in center field leading off. He's a guy that you always want leading off an inning, because he can either walk, he takes hit pitches, but he walks a great amount. And you want a guy that can get on base early on in the innings, especially early on in the games, first, second inning. Like, it just helps so much. And then you got Marte with a lot of speed as well, and he's a good hitter. He can extend an inning. I got him batting second, and then you got McNeil, obviously, batting champion. I've seen a lot of people put him fifth, but I think as the batting champion, he needs to be up there with everybody else. And then I have Alonso, first base, obviously, batting fourth. He's I'm hoping for a big year from him. I really am. I think he's been looking better and better defensively, and I think he looked like he was fixing his swing a little bit over the offseason. So he's gonna hopefully hit some good home runs. I'm hoping for 30. That's what I'm hoping for Alonso.
Wow. Okay.
30,
Okay.
35. Then I have Lindor batting fifth, playing shortstop. Obviously, Lindor's great, and I just think having an Alonso Lindor 1-2 punch would be huge in the middle of the lineup. And then Escobar after him at sixth. It's a great. He's a great guy that can extend the inning as well. I mean, he has had issues striking out and stuff like that, but if he could play like he did at the end of last season, more consistently this year, he'll be just fine. Um, and then I have Canna batting seventh, and then Vogelbach DH batting eighth, and Narvaez catcher batting ninth.
Okay. Okay. No, I just want to say definitely that lineup looks top tier. I like that lineup. I like what you did there. I'm gonna agree on the lineup as well. I'm gonna agree that this lineup, this is how I would do it. This is how I would do it. I was thinking maybe differently, but no, you convinced me to be honest. And Nimmo first, Marte second, McNeil third, Alonso fourth, Lindor. I like it. I like the 1-2 punch. Lindor, Lindor and Alonso, first of all, had great years last year. They had more than 100 something RBIs.
Oh yeah.
Definitely they were very successful. I feel like yes, if Buck Showalter would have put them, this lineup out maybe last year or fourth and fifth, maybe that would have been great for the New York Mets. I mean, but I like it. I definitely like it. Um, oh man, just overall, what are your expectations for opening day expectations?
Well, historically, the Mets are so good on opening day, so I'm all in on the Mets winning. We got Scherzer on the mound. I think he's ready to prove himself. He's probably upset about how his season ended, and I think he's determined to be, healthier this year and be able to give us much more quality starts, and hopefully bring us to a deep run in the playoffs. So I think we're gonna win tomorrow. I'm all in on the Mets against the Marlins for sure.
Nah, man, I definitely feel you on that. I think, man, I'm not gonna lie. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy for the New York Mets. Yes, they are facing the Marlins, right? I believe
Yep.
they're facing the
Yeah.
Marlins. Yes. So look, but they are facing Sandy Alcantara.
Oh yeah,
Um,
he's definitely a great pitcher.
Sandy Alcantara is one of the best young pitchers in the game. Oh, man, Sandy Alcantara is a beast. There's a reason why he won the Cy Young. There's a reason why he pitched for in the WBC. Man, Sandy Alcantara is very very talented. What he brings to the table, that fastball, and not just that. The thing is about Sandy Alcantara, he doesn't want to get out the game. He
Yep.
literally is very dependable. If it's up to him, he would pitch 9 innings.
Yep.
He would pitch 9 innings every single game. That's the type of heart that Sandy Alcantara has. And let's talk about Luis Arias, man. Arias, that was a big trade for the Marlins. They traded Pablo Lopez. What did you think about that trade? Because I'm not happy that the Mets are going to face Luis Arias.
Me
I
neither.
mean,
I mean, I really like Pablo Lopez too. I thought he's going to be something special. I think. But yeah, I mean, I'm more worried about other teams in this division. I mean, obviously he's a tough pitcher to face, but we got a lot to worry about, and we may only face him a few times this year. So I think we'll be all right. We've got a lot of veterans in this lineup that could be able to fight off a lot of stuff and be able to get to pitchers early. So
no, I definitely agree, man. But man, Luis Arias, man, that was a big trade
it was.
for the Marlins, and they got a really great hitter. This guy killed it in the WBC. He's just a beast, man. He's just like McNeil, but
Yep.
with more power
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of the day. Luis Arias, man, that kid is talented. Um, but yeah, man. Expectations for opening day. Yes, I expect the Mets to win this game. Yes, definitely the Mets lineup. I don't know how they're gonna put the lineups yet, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the New York Mets season. I'm excited about the lineup. I just want that lineup that you put out there because that lineup is, I think, going to be successful
Yep.
if Buck Showalter puts that lineup out. Now, I don't know exactly if he's going to put that lineup out.
Yeah, he might.
Um, but yeah, man, let's talk a little bit about Nimmo. What are your expectations for Nimmo? Brandon Nimmo in 2023, 2022, he seems to always get hurt, some type of way. Brandon Nimmo's health is always in question, but he played great center field. He did lose a big game for the Mets and for the Mets when what's it called? The Braves won by walk off. It
Yeah.
was like a up the middle hit, and Brandon Nimmo tried to throw out the guy at home, and he just couldn't. And I think Randall Grissom scored all the way from second.
Mhm.
Um, but just overall, I've never been the biggest fan of Nimmo at center field.
Mhm.
That's just my opinion. I think Marte is definitely a better center fielder. What definitely has a plus arm, center field speed. What he brings to the table, I get why the Mets want to put him at right field because but it is what it is. How do you feel about Brandon Nimmo at that center field spot, and how do you feel about his season coming up?
So I'm all in on Nimmo. I really like him. He's a very determined guy. He's been ever since he came up. He has been working so hard to get better and better every year, and you see it in his stats in center field. His defensive. I forgot what the exact stat was, but getting outs and being able to get these long runs and getting these big fly balls, he could do that. And I do get what you're saying. You like to have Marte out in center, but he's a little older. I'd rather risk Nimmo's body out in center field than Marte's. We need him more as a bat, Marte, than I would say a center fielder. And I think Nimmo is, as he said in his press conference when he got signed, the money means nothing to me. I'm ready to get there and go to spring training and get better. And I think that he'll take a step forward this year for sure.
Yeah. Look. I see what you see in Nemo, and I understand everything you're saying about Nemo. What about Marte? I think Marte, um, he's a very important piece to this. Um, Batting Marte second. I don't know if I exactly that's probably the only maybe change that I would do.
Mhm.
Marte second, I don't know because I like Marte for power. I think Marte is pretty clutch. So,
Yeah.
maybe I would switch Marte from second to fifth and have Lindor batting second.
Yeah, listen,
But
both of that would work for
at the
sure.
end of the day, I love Marte. Yeah, I love Marte though. I love Marte. What he brings to the table. Oh man. I just love his bat. I love his attitude. I think he's one of the best Mets players that we have. And I'm so happy that we have him. I was so excited when the Mets signed Starling Marte. Um, let's talk about overall just the draft, just about the Mets not having a lot of outfielders in the draft, just in general in the minors to go to. How do you feel about that? Because I don't like that the Mets don't have a lot of guys in the outfield to go to. There's certain teams. You know what? Perfect example. Carlos Correa left the Houston Astros, and guess who came up? Jeremy Pena. You know what I'm
Yep,
saying? And he became the shortstop.
yep.
You know, what's it called? Julio Rodriguez, a beast. You know what I'm saying? A
Oh, yeah.
rookie of the year, Seattle Mariners center field. That was, they signed him, in basically in the draft or in the international draft or whatever.
Yep.
But they got guys. You got to have guys, that are great. Well, not are
Yeah.
great, but that can be, useful at the end of the day because the Mets, what they have, Khalil Lee, or who else they have? I don't even know
Khalil Lee,
much.
we lost because of the domestic violence issue.
Yeah, did they is are they done with Khalil Lee or is
I
that?
think they DFA'd him, if I'm not mistaken. But let me look
Oh,
that up. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they did maybe like he suspended until they finished the investigation. Maybe that's what it was. Um,
Yeah, let me know for sure.
let's see. So I'm not seeing anything, but yeah, I think
I think he's still on the team. I
yeah,
think
you know what? I think he is. I'm reading an
I think
article right now. He is on the team, but I don't think they're really they might not
uh,
be playing him as much as
yeah.
he would be if this was going on.
No, yeah, I understand. Yeah, but just in general, the Mets don't have, a lot of draft, choices in the outfield, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. It just it to me it really does suck. It doesn't exactly make sense why the Mets are not taking the draft, so seriously with the outfielders. Because
Well,
yes,
I feel like they do take it seriously, but we've dumped a few off the last couple of years where like we expected them to come up within 2 to 3 years. And then obviously we got some good pieces for them. So like I'm not gonna complain. Obviously, P. Crow Armstrong and the guy that we sent for Diaz, like Kalenic.
Kalenic, yeah, yeah.
Both of them, I mean, they were supposed to be highly regarded in our farm system. So it sucks for sure. I get what you're saying, but I also think that having I think Mauricio, he said that he's willing to try any spot on the field, and I really like uh, trying him out in right or left, maybe both, and see what he could do because he's got a lot of power, and I'd hate to see him go since he's a shortstop. So
I love Mauricio. I love Mauricio. I think he's gonna be a stud wherever he goes. I hope he stays with the New York Mets, man. I really do hope he stays with the New York Mets because he's just so. I feel like he could be so great. I don't know. He
yeah,
just he has
yeah, well,
power. He has some speed there. He has a pretty good defense that he
yeah,
plays. Man, I think he's going to be a stud wherever he goes. I really hope he stays with the New York Mets. Just in general, but man, I see what you're saying with Pico Armstrong. I wasn't happy about the Javier Baez trade when we traded
yeah.
Pico Armstrong. I was not happy with that. Yeah, I really wasn't. Let's talk
No,
about the motions of Beatty and McGill.
yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
So I'm okay with Beatty going down. I think he had a lot of errors this spring. He needs to work on his defense. He can't, we can't just put him at DH. He needs to be able to assume that role at third base once Escobar is gone. So I think it's good. We see what he could do. If Escobar doesn't work out and we see that Beatty's doing pretty well in May and June, maybe they bring him up. I'd be all right with that, but he's definitely got to shore up his defense before we can even consider starting him every day at third base.
Yeah, man, I love Beatty. I there's just something
Me
about
too.
Beatty that I love. I once we got him in the draft, you know, once we got him in the draft, I was so happy. I was so happy. That's probably the best thing that Brody Van Wagen has ever done for the New York Mets.
Well,
Get
Diaz
rid
too. I love Diaz.
I- I- Two. Oh my God, Diaz, you're right. No,
Yeah.
no, no.
Now
That's
those
probably
two though, those two I agree with you are
those
the
two
best things
best
he did.
things are that's the best things that Brody Van Wagner has ever done.
Yep.
But Brett Beatty, Edwin Diaz, but Brett Beatty, man, he is going to be, I think, really, really good for this team.
Yes.
I think he's going to be our future third baseman.
Me too.
Um, but the thing about his defense, yeah, he does not look great defensively. He's been working on it. In the offseason, he trained with Troy Tulowitzki,
I did see that.
in the offseason. How do you feel about that? Do you
I
think
love a guy that goes out of his way to make himself better, and that's what I think that is for Beatty. And I think he's determined to prove himself here in New York, and he wants to be a New York Met. And I love that about him, and I can't wait to see him eventually come through and be our guy.
Another thing is Pete Alonso was not great defensively.
Yes.
First of all, a lot of people were having a lot of concerns about Pete Alonso defensively, but he worked at it and he got better. He's
Yeah, he's
not the
progressing
best.
every year.
Yeah, he's not the best defensive first baseman in the world.
Mhm.
He's not like Anthony Rizzo. I'll
Of
tell you
course.
that Anthony Rizzo looks so slick playing first base. He
Mhm.
he does. But Pete Alonso is that's the cornerstone for the New York Mets. I think that's the guy that you want for the New York Mets for the next coming years. How do you feel that the Mets have not extended Pete Alonso yet?
I think it needs to happen soon, but I also don't want to worry too much because I think the extension of McNeil was huge in getting Alonso to re-up eventually. I think he has such a good bond with this core of players on this team, especially McNeil. Obviously, they're almost best friends. I don't see why Cohen won't give him everything that he wants. And in that regard, I think he wants to stay here. I think he wants to play with McNeil and Lindor, and they want to win a championship here. So I'm really excited because I think within the next year, if maybe next off season, it'll be a question for ownership to start making moves.
Nah, I see exactly what you're saying. No, yeah, I'm not concerned about Pete Alonso, staying with the Mets. I think Pete Alonso loves the Mets. I think he would love to be probably the captain of the New York Mets if they ever, put him as captain or whatever. He just what he brings to the table, Pete Alonso. First of all, power, but he's such a stand-up guy, a positive guy.
Mhm.
Um, I love Pete Alonso. I definitely think, first of all, the first baseman that we had, Lucas Duda. I did not love Lucas Duda in the New York Mets, and I'm so happy that we can say that we have Pete Alonso as the first baseman for the New York Mets. He was a second round draft pick. Definitely. So I love Pete Alonso. I love what he brings to the table. I think Steve Cohen is going to, work it out and sign Pete Alonso. I don't know exactly when, but I think that Pete Alonso is very, very important to the Mets' plans.
I
Very, very
just think
important.
it needs to happen. We don't want a judge type situation where we have to make him prove himself, which I don't think we need him to prove himself. I think he's already done that. He can be our first baseman every day. He can hit for power any day of the week.
Yeah.
I think if we just need to get it done before he could say, "All right, fine, I'm going to go have a career year and make you pay more." So I think they should definitely get it done before that happens.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah, they got to get it done.
Yeah,
They got to get it done. Pete Alonso, first of all, they got McNeil done. Okay, they extended McNeil,
on a
which was
team
good,
friendly deal too.
which was great. I'm happy that they extended McNeil, but they gotta get Alonso.
Yeah.
And Alonso's not gonna come cheap.
No, he's definitely not.
He's not coming cheap. So, but we got the richest owner in the MLB, Steve
It's the
Cohen.
first
So
time for us Met fans that we could actually say, "Oh, we can sign everybody. All these young guys that want big contracts, we can afford it." And I don't
how
think us as Mets fans, I'm sure other Mets fans that have been, following much longer than us, they're saying the same thing. They're all excited, and it's a good time to be a Mets fan.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Do you think that the Mets have any chance of signing Shohei Ohtani next year?
Uh, I think anything's possible. Money's green, man. If you give Shohei Ohtani enough money, I think if you give him enough money and a reason that like to come here and say, we're gonna win a championship, which this team right now, out of all teams with Cohen taking the helm of the team, I think has the best projection and the best like future as a franchise because he is willing to do whatever it takes to make a unbelievable product on the field, and that's what we've just been wanting for forever.
No,
So
I definitely agree with you. How do you feel about the starting rotation? Justin Verlander is about to be 40 or probably 40 already. Max Scherzer's 40, I believe,
mhm,
40 something. And just overall, Max Scherzer, Verlander. I know that the Mets lost Jacob DeGrom, they lost Chris Bassett, but signing guys like Scherzer, Verlander, these guys are 40 years old. That's a tough
yes,
thing to do. Do you think that overall in a 162 game season, are they going to be healthy? I know that can be a concern.
yeah,
I definitely think Verlander has been healthy, except for last, with the injury that he had and the
mhm,
surgery he had to have, but he came back and won the Cy Young.
yeah.
He won the Cy Young.
He
So
still proved
I,
himself.
I love Verlander. I really do. So what do you think about that?
So anytime you get these pitchers like that are going up there in age, like Scherzer and Verlander, you're putting especially as an owner, you're putting a time limit on when you want to win a championship, because you're not signing these guys to these crazy contracts to just have them go out there and, not put the best product on the field or the best pitching rotation on the field. So I think within these contracts, he's looking to try and win a championship, and that's all you could do. And as I touched before, Verlander is such a workhorse. His arm, I mean, yes, obviously he had an injury last year, but he came back and won the Cy Young, and not many pitchers can do that. And the fact that he's 40 years old and he's still winning Cy Youngs for the American League, and he could possibly do it for the NL this year. So I have no qualms with Verlander. I think he's proven that he could be the guy that goes 25 to 28 starts and gives you a solid product. Scherzer,
what about Scherzer?
Scherzer, I think, will probably have some injuries throughout the year, but we have the depth in pitching like McGill. I'm glad that we kept McGill down because he can get more long-term starts as a pitcher. We don't want to keep him in the bullpen and then have him not be able to go long, like 4+ innings. I like that they're keeping McGill down in case Scherzer or anybody gets hurt. Bring him up. He's already ready to go. He's warm. He can go 5 to 6 innings and see how he does. But I think Scherzer, yes, there's a little more concern for injury, but he still is determined to be the best, and that's all you can ask for from him.
No, I definitely agree what you said about Scherzer for sure. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited about. I'm really excited about Kodes Senga. I'm really excited
Me
about
too.
him. Senga. I think Senga. Um, First of all, I don't know if he has I don't know if the Mets have big expectations for him. I know a lot of people are gonna look at Senga and really like a microscope and really like look at his starts and look at everything, and also his tendonitis he had on his finger,
Yeah.
that type of stuff that he's gonna be watched for sure. He's gonna be talked about. If he has a lights out, first 3 starts or 4 starts, that is going to be great for the New York Mets.
Oh yeah.
And we'll see what happens. But I love Senga. I love that fastball.
Yeah.
I love his pit, his that ghost ball, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. I think he's going to be a very very important piece for the New York Mets. To be successful. At the end of the day, you lost Taijuan Walker, you lost Chris Bassett, you got Senga. Carrasco, I'm not entirely concerned with, because I think Carrasco is just dependable. He'll give you some starts. He'll give you. The thing about Carrasco is he's gonna allow some runs. He's not gonna be a lights out, pitcher.
Oh yeah.
Like Max Scherzer or Verlander. He's
But
just
he can
not.
still win games, which is the
He
big,
can
big
still
key
win
part.
games, and he won a lot of games last year.
He did.
He did. He had he had a good year.
Yep.
But man, we'll see what happens. But just overall, let's talk about some injuries to the New York Mets, and that's Quintana, Montes de Oca, actually recently, and let's talk
Yeah.
about Diaz as well. So let's get into Jose Cantina. I'll get into Jose Cantina a little bit.
Okay.
Jose Cantina, the Mets signed him. They needed a lefty. They didn't think I don't think they were confident enough in David Peterson
No.
to be in the starting rotation. So they went out and got a guy like Jose Cantina, and Jose Cantina had a pretty good year. Last year, he pitched for the Cardinals. So I think that he was going to be a big piece for the New York Mets team. The fact that he got injured and they're not going to have him for what, 3 months or something like that.
Yeah,
It
3 months.
it sucks. It sucks at the end of the day, but it is what it is. But I think he was going to be a big piece for the New York Mets. I think he was going to be probably their number 4 starter. And Carrasco was going to be the number 5. But David Peterson, he pitched his ass off in spring training.
Yes, he did.
I love what he did. He pitched his ass off. He pitched great. Didn't allow a lot of runs actually, and he won the job. He won the job over Tyler McGill. But man, I'm excited about David Peterson. I think I've always thought that David Peterson has to be good. He was a first round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he was. This is out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be great.
Yep.
What is Jason? What's going on? Mets talk with Aiden. Man, yo, excited season. I'm excited about what's going on, but the injury Jose Cantina, I was not excited about. Montes
Yeah.
de Oca, recently,
Yeah, that just
he
happened.
got injured, and now he's going to be
Happened
out
today,
4 months.
actually. At least they reported that today. At least
He's going to be out. Yeah,
it
he's
says
going to be
he's
out
out.
4 months.
Yep. Yeah, he has to remove bone fragments in his elbow. So
Yeah, yeah. So he's going to be out 4 months, which sucks. It really does suck. Because first of all, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good
he
in spring
did,
training.
and we needed
That
some bullpen
fastball looked
guys
really,
to
really
step
good.
up, especially after Diaz.
Yeah, man. I think he definitely would have been a big piece for the bullpen. I think he probably could have made it to the bullpen. But just in general, Diaz, let's talk about Diaz.
Yeah.
That Diaz injury in the World Baseball Classic, I was so excited
Yep.
about the World Baseball Classic, so excited about the season, so excited about just the spectacle of the World Baseball Classic. But the Diaz injury, the fact that, first of all, I was going for DR against Puerto Rico. I am both, but I was going for DR, and the Puerto Rico won. And I turned off the TV and I thought everything was good. And then I looked on what MLB trade rumors, and I looked on MLB.com, and I'm like, Edwin Diaz got injured. I looked on YouTube. I'm like, what is going on? What is happening? And then oh my God, it looks so bad. It looked so bad. He couldn't even walk. It looked like he was oh man, it was so bad that Edwin Diaz it was a really bad injury. And I didn't know what was gonna happen. And then the news came out, and we have lost Edwin Diaz for the whole year.
Yep.
That sucks, man.
It's
That really does suck, to be honest. That really does suck.
It's a big
So
blow.
yeah. How are you feeling about the injuries so far with the New York Mets? Do you think the Mets are going to survive it? Do you think they have enough depth? How do you feel?
I think we're used to it. I think it was huge that we got David Robertson and Brooks Raley and all these other guys that can, potentially go into that closer role. We have Ottavino. We have people that can step in. Obviously, it's huge that we lost Diaz, and and it wasn't even. It was like a freak injury. It wasn't even a baseball play. It makes it worse. And then a patella is very tough to come back from, and especially it being his drive leg. Who knows how he's going to be after the injury? And it's just tough to say that, especially after we just signed him to that big contract. And it sucks, but I think they'll make it through. The Mets are used to getting injured. I feel like every year we're always talking about how many injuries the Mets have, and they've always persevered, from here, as best as they could. And I think this year is no different. We have a lot of depth in the lineup, in the rotation, and I think we could be just fine.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I definitely think that the Mets will be okay. The fact that this was a freak injury. You're right. It definitely it was crazy. It was crazy. His brother was crying. Lindor was crying. Um, it looked bad, and we didn't know what it was going to be. But man, it does suck. The fact that Edwin Diaz was the first signed for the New York Mets in the free agency
Yeah.
just shows how important he was to their plans. Shows how important he was to their plans of success and their plans to win the World Series. Their plans to win the whole thing.
Yep.
This guy Edwin Diaz had an amazing year, amazing 2022. He saved 25 games. Only blew 3 saves. His ERA was great. Man, I'm gonna miss Edwin Diaz for sure, man. I'm definitely gonna miss Edwin Diaz. But the Mets got to turn the page. They got to do what they got to do. The season goes
up,
on,
as they say.
Yeah, it is what it is. But David Robertson, I like the pickup with David Robertson. The fact that they got him 1 year. So I mean, I like David Robertson. I think David Robertson should have been in the last year's bullpen. They should have traded for David Robertson. So we'll see what happens there. But man, Ottavino, I think David Robertson should be the closer for the New York Mets.
Yep.
I think Ottavino should be the setup man. And Brooks Raley also, This guy has some closing experience as well. He
Yes.
possibly could be closing games for the New York Mets as well.
I love
Uh,
that Rayleigh 7th, Ottavino 8th, and then, it's still a very good bullpen, and I
yeah.
think they could still show some results and give us some saves. So I'm not too worried. Obviously, Diaz is a huge piece, and he's the best closer in the league, but nothing you can do about it now.
I'm happy that we don't have to worry about Seth Lugo and when if he could go in the bullpen one day, if he could pitch one day, if he could pitch the other day,
Yep.
I'm happy about that
We need
because
people
I
that can
don't.
be ready every time, whenever
Yeah,
they're called.
yeah. Oh man. So yeah, man. Just overall, anything else you want to talk about? And just with the Mets, man. How do you feel?
Um, I do want to give a win loss total. I think that
Oh,
we're
okay.
going to win. I think we're going to be around where we were last year. I'm going to say 100 wins and 62 losses. That's what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be a tight race in the division. I'm very crossed right now. I'm going to be biased, and I'm going to say the Mets are going to win it. They're going to win the NL East. That's what I'm going to say here.
How do you feel about the Phillies? First of all, let's get into some news. Just the Reese Hoskins news,
Oh
the
yeah,
Bryce Harper injury as well. Just Tyjon Walker is also in the Phillies as well. Trey Turner going to the Phillies. Kyle Schwarber freaking killing it. This guy Kyle Schwarber is freaking talented, man. He's a powerhouse. How do you feel about that?
even Trey Turner right now.
That's what I'm saying.
I think I'm more worried about Trey Turner than Schwarber. Trey Turner has been on a tear since even in the WBC. I forget how many exact home runs he had, but I think he had around 7 or 8. And then on top of that, he comes back to Philly in spring training, and in the next 3 days, hits another 2 to 3 home runs. I'm really worried about Trey Turner. He looks really good to start the year. So, but they're injury prone as well right now. They don't have Bryce Harper the first half of the year, and they don't have who are we just talking about? Oh, Reese Hoskins. So I think it's a big loss for them, and they're going to have to figure something out. But they're still a good team, but I think they got a lot of problems that they got to fix before they can even think about a playoff run. But it's a long season, and we'll see what happens.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree about that. How do you feel also about the shortstop with the Braves? I thought Grissom was going to be the shortstop for
Mm.
the Atlanta Braves. I thought they were training him. I thought he was going to be the shortstop, and then they demoted him to AAA, and I was surprised by that. I thought he was going to be the shortstop for the Atlanta Braves.
I feel like maybe there's just this thought that he's not ready yet. Maybe I don't know if it's as a hitter or as a fielder, but I think maybe it's just they don't think he's ready. And like a lot of teams, kind of like how we're doing with Beatty, they want him to start the year out down low and see what happens. You know, getting towards the middle of the year, and if you really need him to jump start your lineup, you till you bring him up and see what happens.
Yeah, man. I definitely think that the National League East is not going to be easy to
No.
win. I think it's going to be a race between probably three teams for sure. Definitely the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies.
Mhm.
I think that's definitely going to be the main competition. The Phillies with Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Derek Hall, who is going to be probably the first baseman for the Phillies. With the Reese Hoskins injury, but he had a really good year for the Phillies. He comes with power too.
Yep.
So I think he's definitely going to be in their plans. Um, just in general, though, the Braves are so talented.
Yeah.
The team is just so good, talented on first of all on paper. Austin Riley, shortstop probably Orlando Arcia.
Yeah.
Second base Ozzy Albies. You got Ronald Acuna. The outfield you got Eddie Rosario.
And then that
So
pitching rotation is
that
very lethal as well.
pitching rotation, I think has actually taken some hits. Kyle Wright, I think I think either he got injured or he went to AAA,
Hmm.
something like that. I don't think the pitching rotation is as strong as maybe last year.
I like
But
Spencer Strider. I mean, like, he's a
oh
little
yeah, Spencer.
cocky, but he's a very good pitcher, and I think he takes a step forward this year.
No, yeah, no, Spencer Strider definitely. He's really really good. Um, Man, I don't know if that kid that got injured like 2 years in a row, he was supposed to be the Braves ace. I don't know if he's back. I don't think he's back. So they probably would have been made a big deal about that. I forgot his name, but just in general, the those three teams, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves, it's gonna be a competition. It's
Yep.
not gonna be easy. It's 162 games. Yes,
Mhm.
they're not gonna play each other as much in the division. They're not but they're gonna be playing all over the place and they're gonna be playing some hard teams.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be some exciting matchups, definitely. Definitely, what's it called when the Braves faced when they were facing the Seattle Mariners and Julio Rodriguez hit that home run and won for them and that walk off home run. That was a great moment. I loved seeing the Seattle and Braves game. That was a really good game. But man, I'm excited about the season. I think that the Mets have a lot going for the team.
Yep.
We talked about some injuries. We talked about the expectations. We talked about the lineup, which that lineup looks really really good, man. I definitely agree with that lineup.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, man, I'm excited. I think definitely predictions wise, I think they'll win either 90, 95, 97, 97, 95, 90, those games. I don't think that they'll win maybe 100 or 101 games, but maybe they will. Maybe they will. I don't know. It's going to be tough because these guys are not facing just what they faced last year.
Yeah.
They're facing a
It's a whole
whole bunch of different teams.
Yep.
So it's definitely not going to be easy. The Mets are really, really good. The Braves are really, really good. And the Phillies are really, really good.
Yep.
So it's gonna be a race. We'll see what happens.
It's gonna be
But yeah,
fun.
yeah,
It all starts tomorrow.
it's gonna be so fun. Starts tomorrow for sure. I believe the game's at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah. So that's really gonna be do it for the end of the podcast. How do you feel, Zach? How did you feel about what we talked about?
Oh, it was great. Thanks for having me. And
Yeah.
let's go Mets. Obviously, we got a big season coming up, and I can't wait for it to get started.
All right, guys. So that's gonna do it for the stream. Let me just end the broadcast. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you joined, if you're watching this, after this is over, just enjoy it. Hopefully, you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe on the channel. And yeah, man, I love you guys so much. I love GM for life, and let's go Mets, baby.
Let's go Mets.